back to Wonder of Faith. As always, I'm Anthony Bush, and today we'll be continuing with the constitutions of the orders. So today you get 2 for the price of 1. I'll be talking about Constitution 4 and Constitution 5. They're not really related, but I think that you can talk about them together, so that's why I'm doing it. Also, they'd probably be too short by themselves in 2 videos, so I'm doing just 1. But we'll just get right into it. Constitution 4 of the Wondrous Orders is the Solstice of Wonder, is its title. And it's unique among the constitutions because it isn't of the normal format. It doesn't talk about any theological understanding, but rather it is a ritual of Thanksgiving for the orders themselves. So every year, exactly around 6 months from my birthday, which would be October 5th, I hold a celebration that is remembering the gift of the orders and what they do and provide for me. And I'll kind of get into that a little bit, and then I'm going to talk about celebrating the faith in general and why it's not a crime, why it's good, why we should do it openly for all to see. So here's the orders. This is my copy here. I self-published in January of 2018. And the orders came about around sophomore year of high school, and that was, Lord have mercy, 6 or 7 years ago. So that's how long it's existed. It's getting on now. It wasn't always in this form, but it was similar to had the first parts with the orders themselves, and then I added the constitutions later. But there came a time when this pouring out of myself into the orders, right? My heart, my soul, my time has gone into it. And why do I do it? I do it because I'm building a collection of allies, of all these ideas and concepts that I learn over time, and they've come together, unified in one spine, one volume, to stand as a testament to what I have learned and what I am promising to do for God. So I'd say as people who get married have wedding rings, right? They have these symbols of their promise, their dedication. I very much see the orders as my wedding ring to God. It sits here in front of my computer looking at me because it's a constant reminder of what I have promised to do. And through the orders, I'm able to be faithfully Catholic, faithfully a child of God. And so I don't take that lightly. That is not something I just blow off. So I dedicate a day to celebrate the Wondrous Orders. And me, the servant of the orders, the one who writes it down and updates it over time. And so on October 5th, or near that time, usually a weekend, I will plan out a day where I think about the orders themselves, and I have some rituals where I promise to be loyal to the orders, loyal to the church, loyal to God, to choose grace over material, selfishness, and things like that. And the Solstice of Wonder exists because it is right and just that we celebrate those things that make us good, that allow us to be more than we are. And the faith is that throughout the year we have feast days for different saints and different mysteries of Christ and Mary because they are good and because they help us to remember what we are living for. And so it is never wrong to celebrate faith. It's never wrong to do it publicly. Today there is so much an emphasis on privatizing religion that in order to keep from being offensive, we must go and practice only in our homes, only in our churches, so that it's ours and we can do what we want without being offensive to others. But to show faith is not offensive, and I want to make very clear it is different to be arrogant and abusive and then show faith. So we don't go around telling people they're trash, for instance. You cannot justify that as being a celebration of faith because that is just unchristian. It's contrary to the gospel message. That is different from doing a walk with the Holy Eucharist and the monstrance around the block or outside the church, or having a party publicly to celebrate a feast day. These things are celebrations that are not harming anyone, right? But they're showing others what is. Like people can see that and see that it's something unique and special. So too the Solstice of Wonder is like that. I've had people in my life who have not understood the solstice of wonder or the orders themselves, and they just think it's weird. They think it's overblown. And I've had to examine myself and think, is this actual? Am I taking it too far? Am I being extreme? And then I realized that no, just because they don't understand doesn't mean that I should give in. Because I realize what I do is good, in that I'm paying homage to the gift that God has given me. I honestly believe the wondrous orders are a gift from God. That through these promises, through these understandings, He is allowing me to serve Him better. And so it's important to me to take the time out, one day out of the year, one. And so I do that, surrounded by friends who are willing to be there and witness to that, and ask me my promises so that I can dedicate myself to the orders once more. And so the celebration, though misunderstood by others, doesn't mean it should go away. It's going to be hard. It's going to be challenging. There will always be adversity. But that does not mean that we stop. We do not stop being faithful because the world tells us it's wrong or because it's weird, right? We don't pay attention to what other people say if it's not rational, if it's not just, if it's not correct. And so we always have to not take things to heart immediately. We can't let someone tell us these things. Sometimes it'll be those closest to us. They'll tell us these things. But we have to discern and know, is what they are saying meritorious? Does it have reason to it? Is it justified? Or are they just in fear of what they don't understand? And that's something we have to be able to discern ourselves. Moving on from Constitution 4 to Constitution 5. And Constitution 5 is very important because in a way it is a mechanism of the orders and how they function. Constitution 5 is living the divine vision. So it starts out talking about the two aspects of our human person, the physical, the natural, and the spiritual, the soul, and these two, how they come together. Now, the body is good. Our physicality is good, but it is easily tempted, right? We have drives as animals. We are animals with a soul. That's what separates us. We can reason and philosophize, but sometimes we're tempted to be selfish or to put ourselves before others, right? These are what would Jesus call the flesh is weak, and so we have to be able to put the soul oriented and the reason above the physical, right? That's how you develop self-control, by putting the reason in control of the body. And to do that more easily, we have to live the divine vision. There's in the church an understanding of the beatific vision, those who are saints in heaven, who have full knowledge of good and evil, and full understanding of the divine, being with Him. They have the fullness of vision, and therefore they can choose the good more easily. We are obscured here on earth because of sin, because of an inability to know for sure, right? That's why faith is there. And so it's harder, but we can still grasp at it if we take time to discern, to invite God into our lives, into our person, and sit with Him, whether it's an adoration before the Blessed Sacrament or in the privacy of your own room. To take the time to build that connection with Christ and with God, to allow the grace of God to overflow from your person. We can slowly but surely come to know the good more easily, more clearly. And then it's almost like the obscurity gets weaker and we're able to see more clearly. It takes time, it takes practice. But by doing that, by seeing what we should be, we can then pursue it more staunchly, more vigorously. And there's less wavering because there's more understanding. And so to live the divine vision, we have to take the time to pursue what it is we are to embody. So we talk about being good. We have to know what it means to be good. We have to know what it means to be holy. We have to know what it means to be a child of God. We have to know what it means to be faithful. These things are not just buzzwords, but they have deep living meaning that we can come to ascertain with our very souls and then put into action. That's the process. And that's why the orders in every constitution, it's getting at one of these meanings, one of these deep, profound aspects of humanity. And then by allowing it to be understood, allows us to live better. That's the whole point. Because these ideas of like faith, love, hope, charity, good, grace. All these things are not just abstractions. These are things that play a role in our lives and are actual, whether they are a part of God or come forth from God. And so we have to be willing to meet them where they these graces and this understanding of love. But it takes openness, it takes patience, and over time we can become stronger and more fully us. Our character becomes sharper because we're not merely swaying with the wind of the world or like letting influences come to us, but we're like anchors, staunch in what we believe in, unwavering, because we know what we have is true. Once truth comes to you, you know it's by its essence, and then you live according to it. I'm known as being hard-headed for that reason, because when someone tells me something and I reason through it and I realize what you're saying doesn't make sense and it seems contrary to the good, then I am not going to accept it. It's rejected because I've thought about it, right? It has to make sense. It has to be an ally or a part of the good. And so it's very hard for me to be swayed otherwise if I find a proposition to be inadequate in that way. But we ought to be able to reason, right? Faith is one thing. Faith is important. That's how we get to know God. That's how he comes to us. But thereafter it comes reason. We have to be willing and able to take what we have come to understand and then comprehend it, put it into words, and make it comprehensive, a part of our lives. So that's what it means to pursue the beatific vision, the divine vision as the order states it. And slowly but surely we get closer to the heavenly goal. We get closer to what is actual, what is beyond all this. And it's not an illusion. It's not a story. It's not a symbol. It's actual. And once we finally allow ourselves to be open to that reality, then we get to the meat, the core of becoming human. And I mean becoming, because whenever we become better versions of ourselves, we are becoming more and more human. What it means to be human. But like I said, it takes time and effort, right? It takes the patience and the will to pursue it, no matter how hard it is. So as long as we, as Constitution 4 implies, are open about our celebrating of faith and what we know to be true, as long as we're open, we're kind about it, but we're honest, but we're not shy, and we celebrate it with the greatest of joys. And then through that celebration, come to pursue what it asks of us, what God asks of us. Then we can be truer to ourselves, be happier, be greater. And no one else can tell you any different. Because truth is truth, right? It doesn't contradict itself, because that's the nature of truth. I would say, of course, that truth lies wholly in the magisterium of the church when it comes to revealed truth. The saints have done it all before. Through the ages, they have come to understand, and so we benefit from their wisdom, and we adopt it for ourselves, and we understand it too. We don't just listen and take it in without thinking about it. We think about it. We understand it, why it's good, why it's of God, and then we can better live it out through understanding. That wraps it up for me. This has been Constitution 4, Solstice of Wonder, and Constitution 5, Living the Divine Vision. We'll get to 6 next time. As always, I'm Anthony Bush. May God be with you and bless you. May you find final victory in Christ.